This season, Filoli's garden overflows with succulents and low-water plants, a sustainable twist for a historic formal garden. As you walk towards the sunken garden, you are greeted by the cheerful yellow faces of Encelia californica, commonly called the bush sunflower. Hundreds of years ago, the LA basin used to be covered in this daisy-like flower.
Well, this has been a flower that I've loved for a long time, and I love it because where I've seen it in gardens, it is ever blooming. So this plant grows in the coastal chaparral and areas from the LA area down into Baja, and is adapted to low water. It just survives on the even lower water than we have in the Bay Area that the Southern California Baja region gets.
Bush sunflower both adds color to the sunken garden and uses less water, making it a perfect addition to the garden's water-wise transformation this year. When William and Agnes were planning this garden a century ago, they filled the sunken garden with classic English plantings, not necessarily ones that thrive in California's climate. This season, Filoli's horticulture team looked for a palette of plants that are more appropriate for the dry Bay Area climate.
In California, there's been a great movement to have more natives in the garden, which is fabulous. And I think a lot of people have learned that sometimes natives can be a little difficult. They grow like on a certain mountainside in a certain kind of soil, and they're not always easy to propagate. So they can be kind of difficult to have in your garden. But because we live in such a special place and it's such a special time, we really have resources to get plants from all sorts of places with the same climate as ours. And you'll see that in our garden here at Filoli, that some things are native, some things come from all over the world.
So as part of my connection to the Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, I was able to get cuttings of the plants. I was out in the garden taking little pieces of the branches and I bagged them all up into Ziploc bags, kept them cool in a cooler, and then drove them up to Filoli and handed them off to the production team, and they add a little hormone to each of the cuttings. They rooted like gangbusters, and then we grew them on for a couple months, and we're able to plant them out in June of this year, and they've done fabulously.
When you can have natives in your garden, it is probably the best choice, especially because when you're in California, you're also surrounded by animals and pollinators that also love those native plants. And this is no exception. The bees and the flies that pollinate this plant will love this rather than a plant that's coming from another climate, because it's what they grew up with. It's what they want. And it fits so perfectly into the landscape that it's surrounded with.